Okay, I'd like to thank council for this opportunity of the State of the City and acknowledge the department heads. Some of them are here and some are working on other projects right now. But I'd also like to thank the council members for their support of the administration and carrying out our duties day to day, and Miles and Jared for the outstanding presentation we're going to see here shortly. Also, Sherry does the work on gathering the information for the annual report, and that's kind of the outline or basis that we use. Go ahead, Matt. The Community Development Department is comprised of the Building Department, Economic Development Department, and Planning and Zoning. The advantage of this is it lets us cross-train the staff across those three departments. So if one's on vacation or one's out for a medical issue, we can maintain the department operations. With Dan's help and Andrew's help, we've also been able to do same-day permits and next-day permits, which is unusual for a city. Generally, it takes 30 days to get the permits. We have now in-house, due to training, Dan got in-house plan review whenever possible, and as long as it's not too large of a project. And overall, all of these things provide the best customer service model that we can. Okay, Matt. In the building department specifically, the commercial permit revenue was in excess of $108,000 in 2021. The commercial construction itself was in excess of $57 million. Which shows the amount of investment we're seeing in our community. And anytime we have the ribbon cuttings, Dan Gladish and his staff are always mentioned in a very positive manner. Okay, Matt. Our Economic Development Department, we do combined ribbon cuttings with the Medina Chamber, Main Street Medina, county and state officials, as well as liaisons from our federal legislators' offices, and that's all arranged by Kimberly Marshall. We actually had a visit from a suburb of Columbus, and it was the Chamber, Main Street, and the city. They were looking to do a similar program down in this suburb, and they said that it's unusual down in the suburbs of Cleveland to have all three entities working together instead of working individually on each of their respective goals and accomplishments. And I think it's something special that we do here in Medina. The North Court widening project cost the city, cost about $21 million. Most of that was covered by ODOT, but as the council is aware, and most of the public, the decorative lighting, the center islands, some of the plantings and the multimodal path were added by the city at the city's expense, which added about $2 million to the project. But what was interesting is if we look at the investments in that commercial area, both while the project was being completed and after, it nearly matched the $21 million of the road project, everything from Harding Street north. So then that piqued my interest in what's going on in the industrial area, because the city invested $14 million in road reconstruction. The industry in that same period from 2011 to 2021 invested $263 million in our industry. Some of that is plant expansion, some of it is equipment inside, some of it is both. And what that tells me is if the city invests, the investments from the private and commercial sectors will as well. And then just two brief stories. Fierce Tanning ribbon cutting in Medina Shopping Center. I was approached by the owner's aunt, and she told me she attended last year's State of the City presentation and heard about our processes here. And she said she witnessed it firsthand while he was preparing the space for his tanning place at Medina Shopping Center. And then Hutch Nutrition ribbon cutting, which is down on at the corner of Lafayette and Court Street. The owner had a workout place, but he had never done anything that required him to work with the health department because of the nutrition side of it. He told me Dan Gladish went with him to both the health department and the sanitary engineer's office to help him with the paperwork and any questions that came up. And that just shows me what's special about Medina. Whoops, okay, Matt. Planning and zoning. Council is going to consider here at the council meeting tonight the update to the comprehensive plan. We had a vast amount of community involvement, and I'd like to thank Andrew Dutton for his work on that, organizing it and working it through fruition. The community development block grants in the city, they help fund public transit, code enforcement, Let's Make a Difference program, and fair housing. And then in addition to that, we have the Community Housing Impact and Preservation Grant, which we call CHIP for short. And the city partners with Brunswick. If each of us did it individually, we'd only get $300,000 apiece, but by doing it collaboratively, we each get $350,000 or another $50,000 each, $100,000 in our county to help with home improvements. And the city gets all the administrative fees and costs for both cities, which helps us out financially then. The other thing we did recently was another training for our boards and commissions by Greg Huber and Todd Hunt. We have 3 different boards. That's Historic Preservation, Board of Zoning Appeals, and the Planning and Zoning Commission. And this is the second time we've done training while I've been mayor, with the philosophy being following the code that the council has passed and not board members' individual decisions on things or how they feel things should be. Okay, Matt. In our engineering department, construction projects in 2021 were in excess of $2.5 million, including grant dollars in excess of $800,000. The Patton does a great job of securing for us. And we try to do our best each time to couple the local dollars with grant monies because that helps spread our local dollars over more and more projects. Our design and planning for the 2021-2022 projects is expected to be nearly $13 million. The fiber installs, which I'm sure the council is aware of, as well as our residents that are here, has taken a great deal of time of our engineering intern. In fact, he was almost working with them full time. And the reason for that is we had 3 separate companies, Armstrong, Medina County Fiber, and now Frontier, all coming through the city, putting up their own fiber. It's our hope and prayer that that's going to create competition in the community and drive prices down for businesses and constituents. And one brief story, the owner of the nursery on North Spring Grove, you may recall we did a total culvert replacement there where it shut down the road completely there just north of the nursery. And he couldn't have been more complimentary of the staff, keeping them very well informed as to what was going on, when it was going on, being friendly with the parents and the children as they dropped them off each day for preschool. The fire department, I'm very proud of the collaboration between police and LST. All 3 of our safety forces work very well together. Our fire department services Medina City, Medina Township, and Montville Township, which amounts to about 50,000 residents, or the size of Strongsville. You can see the call volumes there for the various entities on the screen. Currently, we're doing daytime and afternoon staffing Monday through Friday, and we added daytime staffing Saturday and Sunday. We're looking within the existing budget to add a second shift on weekends, but we're having a little bit of trouble hiring adequate staff for same. The chief is working diligent on that, and I'd also like to mention Chief Larry Walters has been very involved in community and public relations, and we appreciate his leadership. With the law department, our staffing is comprised of 4 part-time prosecutors, one of which is also our part-time law director. The clerical staff include 1 full-time clerk and 2 part-time clerks. Our budgeted plan is to go to 2 full-time clerks in 2023 and eliminate the part-time positions due to the demands of the office currently. And this law department handles traffic and criminal cases for the northern 2/3 of Medina County. The only exception is Brunswick City. They handle their own prosecutions. Our law director also handles civil and other legal matters of the city, and I'd like to compliment Greg Huber on that. The Medina Community Recreation Center, Thanks, Matt. The building now is 20 years old. We're replacing some of the aged equipment. I'd like to mention Murray and Sue Van Epp. They donated 12 brand-new spin bikes for the rec center, and that was an amount that the city then didn't have to pay. You can see there on the screen now some of the leisure pool updates with the Jungle Cove and water features. We modified the entry area to move patrons in more effectively and efficiently. And I would like to thank Jansen Worley, who took over the oversight of the Medina Community Rec Center after our former director resigned, and Jansen's doing a great job with that. With Medina TV, I'd like to thank Miles and Jared and Matt again for these slides and the presentation. The Medina TV has been providing video services to the city and schools for over 21 years now. They also recently established partnerships with Main Street Medina and the Medina County Commissioners to add video services for them, which then brings some outside revenue to help offset our budget deficits because of the revenues from Armstrong coming in less and less as people are moving away from Armstrong Cable. They were also instrumental in helping with the City Hall Rotunda redesign for accessibility and the upgraded technology, where we have screens now in the front and back, as well as the sound system. They also added technology for live broadcasting during our meetings. With our Parks Department, much like we saw with the Community Development Department, when I had the opportunity to promote Jansen to the Parks Director, I asked him if he would be willing to oversee the combination of park, cemetery, and forestry, having had experience with those other divisions. What this has done for us is we have one part-time parks clerk, but her office is located at the same place that the forestry and the cemetery is, and she can assist with people buying lots for family members, buying lots for the future, answer the phones for all three divisions, and keep the staff out in the respective fields making progress in our city. It's a more effective and efficient customer service model, and it's working out very well for us. In our Parks Department, we recently developed a new color parks map. We extended the East Reagan Parkway Trail from Larkins Way, where it had ended before, to North Court Trail to connect with the commercial area and connect the commercial area to our parks and the neighborhoods there without having to drive. We also added lighting. The lighting before had stopped at Ashwood, and we got a separate grant, one for the trail and then one for the lighting, to add the lighting from where it had left off all the way up to North Court Street as well. So that makes safer use of the path after dark. Various sports associations assist us with the respective field maintenance and upkeep on our sports fields. There's a new fitness trail at Ray Mellert Park, and added new fitness equipment along that trail. This year we're working on a parking lot extension and a new dog park, both at Ray Mellert Park, using capital grant dollars we obtained from the state of Ohio. And our hope is to build some, not only in the new dog park, but pickleball courts over there as well. And then I wanted to mention two foundations, the Willard Stevenson Foundation and the Lincoln Foundation, who both help support improvements to the Miracle League baseball field. And that support was much appreciated. And for the public's benefit, and I think the council is aware, but they used to have a rubberized surface on the infield, but the outside was a turf. So if a person was in a wheelchair or a walker, they could only play the infield positions. They couldn't play the outfield positions because the wheels simply wouldn't roll. So with these two foundations, they hard rubberized the entire outfield. So now each of those players can play any position, and that's important. With our cemetery, the staff are help us keep the monuments straight and upright. They work on both the Spring Grove Cemetery and what's called the Old Town Cemetery, which, if you're not familiar, is between the Medina County Administration parking lot and St. Paul's Episcopal Church. I'd like to mention special thanks and appreciation to the Friends of the Cemetery, who have donated more than $1.6 million in projects in our cemetery, as well as achieving Level 2 accreditation by ArbNet Arboretum. This is the first and only arboretum in Medina County. And also, I would like to mention the Independent Order of Oddfellows, Morning Star Lodge number 26, as they care for the baby section at Spring Grove Cemetery year after year and keep it very nice for us. With our forestry department, you can see the statistics there on the screen, but they're responsible for all the city tree pruning, removals of city trees that become diseased, damaged, and/or sometimes get so large that they're destroying the infrastructure, like sidewalks or lifting streets and things like that, to where we have to take them out and put a different variety or a smaller tree in. The City of Medina celebrated our 40th Tree City USA Award, and we also work with the local Kiwanis, Noon Kiwanis, for Arbor Day tree giveaways every year to the students. Our police department, under Chief Kinney's leadership, our police department is promoting and enhancing our community policing efforts. I also want to mention the collaboration between LSD and fire calls. We always send police as first responders. They can update the responding units as to what they found. There are many times the officers are first on the scene and doing CPR or using an AED before the squad gets there, and at time bringing people back to life for then the medics to take over and get them the medical help that they need. And those seconds of the heart not beating or a person not breathing are very critical to sustain life. We're experiencing, as many in our community are, less and less applicants for both police officers and dispatchers. This has required repeated testing and unusual expenses to try to find qualified candidates, and we continue to have openings in both the police officer and the dispatch ranks. We're using more and more technology. We have body cameras, car cameras. We also make good use of cameras in our community. Sometimes a business will have a camera. Sometimes residents will have doorbell cameras. And using all that technology to put it together with the investigation, many times we're able to solve the crimes as a result of those. We also added new technology recently with the police department by adding drones, and this is called the aerial vehicle program. These can help on fire scenes with identifying hot spots. It can help with locating missing persons, also identifying where, through thermal imaging, where fleeing suspects may be hiding in a wooded area or a tall field, to coordinate the officers as they're trying to locate and apprehend this person. They also do ongoing trainings with both Lexipol and OPATA. OPATA is the state regulatory agency for training for police officers and certifications, and Lexipol trains the officers every day. There's daily trainings on the rules and regulations and making sure that the officers are up to speed with any changes that are implemented. With our service department, under Service Director Nino Piccoli, it's comprised of sanitation, streets, vehicle maintenance, and water departments. Nino does a great job, an excellent job actually, of staffing between the four divisions and meeting ever-changing demands and requests for service. Having one common union collective bargaining agreement with the service staff, park, cemetery, and forestry permits the sharing of staff between these various departments as needs and priorities require. So this means if you're a street person, you could end up over in parks, or a parks person could end up in sanitation, just so we can keep filling the needs of the city. And the fact that they're all in one union but paid their normal rate no matter where they're working, the union's fine with it and the city gets the benefit of that. The sanitation department, for no additional charge, we collect yard waste from April through November. And that resulted in about 1,200 tons of organic recycling that was not having to be taken to the landfill and pay the extra money for that. Also over 1,000 tons of vegetable-based waste from our industry, over 250 tons of commercial cardboard. And I routinely get compliments on the staff friendliness as the truck drivers are going up and down the residential streets, as well as cleaning up. There are many times they may arrive at the scene and either the cans were tipped over by animals or the bags were torn open, and they will take the time to clean that up while they're there picking up the trash. The streets department, one of their responsibilities is to clean the catch basins, and the reason for this is if there's debris or twigs or leaves or whatever, the catch basin won't accept the water, so we have to routinely clean these out to avoid to deter flooding. We also rebuild the deteriorated catch basins, and since I took over as mayor, we began using the storm catch basin tops that are angled or sideways versus parallel with the curb of the street, and that promotes biking safety throughout our community because the tires then can't go down into the catch basin. We use 765 gallons of grout to repair over 930 feet of failing storm sewer pipes versus replacement. As you can imagine, sending this machine through with grout and filling that in is a lot cheaper than digging up all the old pipe and replacing it with new pipe. We have the annual leaf pickup program every fall, and run that until the weather won't permit us anymore because the ice and snow will damage the fans inside of the unit. This year, the street department replaced numerous decorative street lights in the historic district, and again, this was paid for by a capital grant from the state of Ohio, and we have them all replaced, as well as adding some right outside City Hall between the parking deck and City Hall. And the last but not least, the street department hang any of the banners or flags in the city as well. Our vehicle maintenance department, we have, they have a responsibility of all the licensed vehicle, but we also have many unlicensed equipment. So if you think about tractors, backhoes, lawnmowers, blowers, trimmers, all of those things, everything goes down to the vehicle maintenance department for preventative maintenance, as well as if something's broken or needs fixed on it. We have modernized and improved diagnostic equipment, and each department, we fund this by charging back each department for the parts and labor, and it's much more efficient and effective than contracting it out by doing it in-house. We can also prioritize better if we have a police car or a fire truck that needs to get in, and we set some of the other work aside. Being that we're doing it ourselves, we can adjust those, and again, that's under Nino's responsibility. Our water department, this past year, they changed out numerous residential and commercial water meters. We had 41 water main breaks in 2021. The data command was upgraded from a radio frequency, which is kind of an older technology. We used that from 2002 to 2019 to now cell service, cellular phone service, to operate the water system. So what that means is in real time, they get alerts if there's any issue with our water tanks out on Spieth Road, any of our water pumps, any of our water systems. They're immediately alerted to it. The water staff is also responsible for all the water line locates for the 3 utility companies I mentioned earlier running fiber throughout the city. And as you can imagine, that takes a good deal of time if they're going to be on any given day on 5 or 6 different streets. We have to mark and flag every one of those water lines to avoid them when they're boring running into one of them. The Medina Municipal Airport, I'd like to thank Earl Olson and Flight Services for their many years of airport operations for us. The city is in the process of transitioning to a new operating management team. We are working with the FAA to revise the master plan and expand the airport property to the east. This expansion will provide more space for hangars and maintenance, which is necessary to create revenue to operate the airport. Our plan in the future, by purchasing this property to the east with FAA hopefully reimbursing us for it, is to extend the runway for future small jet takeoff and landing, which will do 2 things. One, will increase fuel sales. Second, it'll bring smaller jets to the airport that can't currently, under their insurance, take off because of the length of our runway. Our airport at its current location is a great feeder airport for Cleveland Hopkins, Burke Lakefront, and Akron Canton. And a lot of people would prefer to be in Medina than go up in the congestion with those other 3. So this will help. These improvements we're talking and property acquisition will help make the airport much more self-sufficient in the future. Our community partners, first I want to mention the Kiwanis. They have several events every year. One is recognizing the 50th anniversary couples in the community. They do a student Christmas shopping program. They care for the Jump Park Playground. They host the annual Medina County Sports Hall of Fame. And then they have, as I mentioned a little bit before, in forestry, the National Arbor Day with local students. The Rotary, if anybody went down to the 9/11 Memorial yesterday, the Rotary helped maintain and upkeep with our Parks Department the 9/11 Memorial on North Huntington Street next to Fire Station 1. The Lions Club donates to non-perishable foods to Cups Cafe Pantry. And then many of our churches, day in and day out, help in our community. So for our senior citizens and our disabled citizens, we have 2 different programs called Love Medina. We do one in the spring by Grace Medina Church, and then one in the fall by St. Francis Church. They also have a Unity Festival, lunch for our police department, and we invite in the other police agencies surrounding us, an annual Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, and Black History Month events. A Veterans Day concert is hosted at St. Francis, and just August 28th, there was a new group called Community Alliance Project that had an event at Mellert Park that was very well attended and helped promote the young youth in that area to succeed in school, to ask for help if they need it, and hopefully prepare them to go on to college. And then also, I just want to mention some citizens. We have many volunteer groups and other citizens that serve on our various boards and commissions. Our finance department, the city has one of the lowest income tax rates in the state at 1.25% with a partial credit, and we're proud of what we're doing with that income tax. When I was first elected mayor, the income tax generated about $12 million a year. In this year, 2022, we're expecting it to generate over $18.5 million. That's a 54% increase without raising the income tax rate. And the result of that is numerous job creations and the industrial and commercial expansions that I shared with you earlier under economic development. The increased revenue helps us keep pace with the city operations and provide the services to our city. And then in 2021, we renewed or rebid our bonds at a lower interest rate and lower payments. And what this also did was free up $7.5 million of money that's going to be used for residential road improvements in the next several years. And this will mirror what we did in the industrial area to replace the residential roads at such a rapid pace. And last but not least, I just wanted to thank you. That's Princess Madison. She's going to be 7 this December, and her little brother Aiden will be 3 in November. That was when they were helping Grandpa walk in the July 4th parade there. And I just want to conclude by thanking all of you, council and the public, for your support and investment in our community. This is my 13th State of the City to you, and each year I'm further impressed and proud of how you all support and promote and help our community. It's much appreciated. God bless each of you and your families. Thank you.